Well, today we're fitting sliders on this Honda, which requires you to cut the fairing. And it occurred to me that, having done this several times, that other people might like to see the way that I do it, so that you don't make any silly errors and spoil your fairing. So this is the crash bung we're going to be using, and as you can see, it's a good substantial 10mm thread with a spacer which goes that has to go through the fairing, and then that's the slider. And originally on this machine there was this offering which fitted up here, and as you can see, it's as good as useless. The main reason I fit them is in case I drop the machine when I'm shoving it about or trying to put it on a stand. These days these bikes are quite heavy for me, so just in case, if it drops over onto a decent slider, it will hopefully prevent a lot of damage. You're obviously going to get some damage, but you try and keep it to a minimum. So I took this one off, and it will be used elsewhere. So I've taken most of the connections off the fairing. Let's get the light. Most of the fixings are removed. I've just kept a couple to just show where they go. All bike fairings are very similar. I've done this, quite a few times now. I was talking to someone about fitting them, and they'd taken their bike to a shop to have the fairing cut, and not only did they not do a terribly good job, but it also took them quite a bit of time, so they had to pay for, obviously, the garage time. So this fairing now the lower is pretty much disconnected, so we can just pull it away. I've put this piece of tape where the crash bung will be going. It'll be going about there, and so you could just take the fairing away, he said, looking to check there are no more fixings. Oh yes, there's a fixing there. That's the last one. Right, that's the last of the fixings we'll be needing. Let's take the fairing down, and this is the bolt we'll be using just here. It's an engine bolt. I've already taken it out. You can see where it had thread lock on it once. It won't have thread lock on it again, because to get the fairing off you need to take this out, so I shan't be doing that. Now the main thing is to mark the fairing so that you don't make any mistakes. And inside the fairing, I don't know if you can see, but there's this high density foam, and I found that on all the fairings I've had to cut. So the way I do it is to put a longer bolt in. There's the original bolt, and there's the one I shall use for marking. Pop that in and locate it so that it's in a good square position, a few threads at least, and then all you do then is put the fairing back. Now this particular Honda, you have to make sure the front's sorted. She won't see me doing. That's it. Once you've got the front in, the rest of it follows quite readily. So we've got the extended bolt on. All we have to do now is put the fixings back. That's it, drop the tool. Now all I do is I put the fixings around where the bung's going to go. So I just put that one in, and the lower one in. But I've already done this and marked it, so when you've got the fairing connected up and tight, just press gently all around where the bolt is, which is in this direction. Just press it in gently, like so. Take out the fixings. That's it, pull it down. Now you almost certainly won't be able to see what I can see, but if you look inside, you'll see an indentation in the foam of that hexagon top, and there it is. Well, I've got my finger in it, it's a bit dark, so you can just push the bolt head in and shove it home to really mark where the bolt needs to be. Then all you need to do is put a pilot hole right through the middle of that indentation, and I use this angle drill, which I've had for years. I used it when I was building a room in the last house up in the loft. So you put your pilot drill through, which I've just done actually, and there it is, one pilot. So having done the pilot, you can pop the fairing back on again. Sometimes you have to take the fairings right off to do this. I had to take the lowers off of the Generation 1 Hayabusa. That had to be done. But with this one it pulls down far enough for you to do it. That's it, you have to be careful to not scratch anything, that's the whole point. So that's where the old crash bung used to be, which we won't be using there, we'll be using it somewhere else. There we go. So having got that done, just locate that one. It's important that everything's located reasonably well. There we go. You know everything's in the right position then when it's clamped up. As I say, you don't have to put everything back. When I was doing one of the bikes, it was easier to take the fairing lower off to drill that pilot and to do other work. So there's the pilot hole, and what I do is I find where the thread is with a piece of wire just to check that it looks right, and I can feel the thread on the end of this piece of wire. So just by looking at that piece of wire, that looks pretty accurate to me. It's following the lines of the fairing, and it's in what looks to be an accurate position. But bear in mind, you can always move the position of the hole by using files. That's the whole point. Don't be tempted to just cut huge holes in fairings. Well, you can do what you like with your own bike. So having decided that that's in a pretty accurate position, I would then put a drill through big enough to put the 10mm bolt through. So I've already done this one, so I'll just open it up again like so through the tape, and pop the long bolt through. Try and find the location. There we are. So that now fits nicely in the engine support, like so. So what I would do if that wasn't now looking really accurate, I would then take a small round file and I'd ease it until I find the best position, the best accurate position, so that that bolt really is in the right position without straining, without any stress whatsoever on that fairing. And that one is because obviously I've done it before, but it's usually they're pretty good. So having done that, there's your spacer. That's got to go through the fairing. Again, you need to find the engine support. Where is it? Right, there. And the next thing you have to do is to mark out where the, let's see if I can get a couple of turns of thread on there, like so. Right, that's the position it needs to be. That's the accurate position. So all you have to do then is put the pencil on. Bob's your uncle, as they say. So that's where it needs to be. All you have to do, well, what I do is I just put a small drill through all the way around, bonk bonk, all the way around inside the line. Then open, I mean this stuff files easily, just pop that in there and then you can file, open up the holes, and then use this to just get close to the pencil line. And then when you've got a decent hole, get a half round file and just get the profile accurate so that it's an absolute perfect circle. And then you'll find that that will just go through and it will be in a perfect position. And when you've put the spacers and all the rest of it in, the job is done. Obviously all bikes are slightly different, but I've never found any real differences other than where there are curves on the fairing, and that circle might become an oval depending on the position of the bung in relation to the curved surface. So as they say on Blue Peter, here's one I'd done earlier. And there it is. Where it is there, they may not look fantastic, but if the bike drops over for any reason, it will support on that point, and it'll do a bit of good. And yeah, I know it doesn't look wonderful, and you do need to carry a 17mm box around just in case you need to take the fairing lowers off. So if I take it off on this side, which is more or less done,